Welcome to Mac and Blue, the cutting-edge podcast for the nation's builders, merging the realms of construction with exciting advancements in technology. Join us on a thrilling journey where we delve into the dynamic world of blockchain, AI, the metaverse, virtual and augmented reality, and their transformative impact on the industry. Our engaging discussions span a wide spectrum, covering not only construction, economic development, supply chain, and market segments, but also exploring the vibrant tapestry of diversity within the construction landscape. We shed light on the intersection of local politics and its profound influence on the construction sector, while championing the remarkable contributions of women and minorities in construction. For all things Mac and Blue, head to www.macandblue.com, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. I'm your host, JJ Levenske. Now let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Mac and Blue. I'm your host, JJ Levenske, CEO and co-founder of Blue Wave. Today, I'm lucky enough to have Howard Weiss, who's the Senior Vice President of Entertainment and Sponsorships for the VAI Resort. Before I let him start talking, I'm going to read a little bio here. First of all, he's a Penn State alum, so, go Nittany Lions for all of you fans out there. And he, prior to be here in Phoenix, he was in the Vegas market, which we'll get into. But more importantly, the VAI Resort, as most of us know, is one of the most publicized projects that's been in recent past within the Phoenix Valley. So how appropriate that we get you on. So thank you for coming, Howard, and I can't wait to talk about you, the resort, all the kind of transcending things you guys are doing, the struggles and encumbrances that I'm sure you are hitting because there's been nothing like this ever done before. So with that, welcome.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
So audience always likes to know a little bit more about you before we get into all the nuts and bolts. So I did a little bit of a job about that, but just be a little personal and talk about kind of your background and how the hell you ever got to Phoenix.
Yeah, so been out here for about 2.5 years. Originally joined with the Crystal Lagoons development that then transformed to now what is VAI Resort. But spent most of my career in Vegas and in Atlantic City, mostly in the casino business, on the entertainment, nightlife, and hospitality
He's a bookie.
side. Yeah.
Legal money laundering, right?
Yeah, for sure. But no, as you mentioned, I went to school at Penn State and started in Atlantic City. That's where I did my internship at the Borgata. And then just, grew throughout and, half the time in Atlantic City, half in Vegas with, a short stint in Northern California for AEG Presents.
So everyone wants to know, okay, Howard, before we get into the VAI, what were the pros and cons and just what was it like working in Vegas, especially with what you do?
Yeah, so obviously the cons are, people are asking for, weird things at off hours, but the business never closes, right? A 24/7 operation, so you always need to be on. The phones are always on, and just really interacting with different people. But the fun part was every day was something different, right? You walk into the casino, and it's just a different person and a different guest with a different need. So that was the fun part.
And what were the different roles and things you did in Vegas?
So mostly on the nightlife entertainment side, and then I did run a topless pool at Caesars for 3 years. So that was fun.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. So if you don't mind, how did you get recruited here then?
So a mutual friend who was working on the marketing side for Crystal Lagoons, that original developer, reached out. I was in the middle of a development project in Vegas, which is now Area 15. And so I was just in the right place at the right time, and it seemed like a unique opportunity. Still close to Vegas, 4-hour drive. So decided to take the leap, and here I am.
Well, good. Okay, so everyone, let's just dive into the VAI. You kind of gave a little bit of the history, but for the people that don't know all the history of the VAI, can you go back to the beginning and give maybe a Reader's Digest version of how did this start? What were the incubators? And then you walk us through what happened and where it then became the VAI and kind of where you guys came in.
Yeah, so originally Crystal Lagoons, Island Resort Development, right? They're a big, PAL company, public accessible lagoon for people to come in, experience the resort. We also had Mattel Adventure Park. We were about a 700-room property. And after, broke ground and a year in development, the folks that were financing it and doing the construction decided to buy out the original developer and transform the property, which is now VAI. So we transformed to, a 60-acre development, a dozen restaurants, 20 bars and lounges, 1,100 hotel rooms. We had no meeting and convention space. We now have 90,000 square feet of meeting and convention space. We did have a bigger beach under Crystal Lagoons, but obviously water is a big thing, and so we kept that top of mind. So we reduced the footprint of the water to about 5 acres. So we have the blue water, the white sand beaches, and a 2-story nightclub, a day club, and we added 2 rooftop pools. We also have 2 attraction rides that were part of the original development, which is a hot air balloon like you would find in downtown Disney in Orlando, and an arrow bar ride. So you take about 10 people up on a ride. There's a bartender up there, and you can have a drink.
Kind of like the Link?
Yep, very similar.
Okay. So what does the VAI mean? What does VAI stand for?
So VAI really stands for, well, 2 things. It was something else. It stands for water, and really the state of awesomeness, right? So the original name was WAI, which is that meaning is water.
Okay.
And so when we did the logo and the original design, our CEO and owner, Grant Fisher, looked to do something different. He didn't love how the W was flowing. So he got rid of the W and added the V, and that's how VAI Resort was born.
So we could go a million things. Just interrupt me and kind of take control of this, because go back to, you did a great job of kind of giving that high-level transition from the beginning to what it is VAI right now. Break some of those things down, because I think, what gets publicized out there, you get a snippet in Phoenix Business Journal, then you get a snippet over here in the news. For the audience's sake, break it down into some of those things a little bit more detailed, if you don't mind. Like, what does it mean to have just the rooms and then these other attractions? And maybe, like, how did some of those morph, or were you guys able to take demographics or maybe just entrepreneurship from the Fishers or whomever? Like, how did some of these things change and develop as you've gone?
Biggest thing, the integrated hotel amphitheater was already being built during the change in ownership, right? So the structure was up, the concept was there. Now the concept that's being built today is similar yet very, very different. We started a hotel integrated amphitheater with 0 seats and 3 sort of miniature pools, throughout this venue. And now it has transformed, and we have 11,000 seats and no pool, and it is truly an integrated amphitheater with a hotel, right? That's never been done before. So it was really the bold and different vision of Grant and Tommy, who are the visionary leaders behind this development, and really just tried to transform it as best as they could with what was already being built. That's not to say that we haven't knocked down walls and adjusted things, for
that's
example,
life, right?
We had, 16 cabanas that were out at the pool amphitheater, and we've changed the design, ripped out the pool, and those cabanas got knocked down after we built them, right? So the vision and the end goal is top of mind. So, and we want to do it right the first time. This is a legacy project. So they say it every day. We want to build something great and special. And so we're taking our time to do it. The challenge is we're in the middle of construction versus it would have been great for us to do this before we broke ground. But it definitely keeps it very unique with the way that we're doing it right now.
Let's get kind of the elephant on the table, but which is, in something that's this large, this kind of transcending, it hasn't gone without its own problems.
Right.
I have been working with the city of Glendale, correct, the whole time, right adjacent to the stadium and all those kind of things. What are some of the hurdles you've had to face? I mean, just openly and honestly, and then how has that actually maybe led to clarity and kind of what you're trying to deliver?
The city of Glendale has been phenomenal, right? Coming from heavy regulated markets like Las Vegas and Atlantic City, you just become a number. We are sort of their priority here, right? So they've been great partners. The mayor, the city manager, right? They're on site. They come, they visit us, they provide the right support that we need. So there's some challenges in which way that we're building in terms of timing and deliverables, because we're moving at a rapid pace. We've had some, deadlines in which had some anticipated openings, and those got pushed, right? But now we're trying to hit these other dates so that we can get open and bring revenue in for and tax dollars for the city.
Right.
So the communication and the partnership with the city has been great. We're continuing to grow and build the partnerships with our neighbors like the Cardinals and Desert Diamond Casino, Desert Diamond Arena. So it's just ongoing communication with them to build that.
Take a tangent on those two, the casino and the Cardinals. Some of it might be proprietary that you can't talk about, Howard, but what does that look like for someone that, let's say a year from now or 2 years from now, they want an experience, like they're bringing people from in and out of town? What's that whole ecosystem going to look like over there?
You know,
and how are you collaborating on that?
Yeah, so I think that the key is, right, the casinos don't want their customers to, right, leave their properties.
Yeah, they want the revenue. Yeah.
But we have things that we can also offer for them. So do I think the casino customer is going to come and stay with us? No, but I think they're going to come and experience things that they just can't experience, just like, a guest going to the Cardinals or Desert Diamond, right? We can be that host hotel for them to come and stay, versus staying next door at a 2 or 3 star property. The difference is we're a 5-star resort, and the amenities that we're bringing and focused on delivering for the customer is nothing like this market has ever seen before. It's what Scottsdale has seen, but not really what Glendale has seen.
So everyone would probably ask the same question then, Howard. Okay, a game, are the players going to stay there, the opposing team, or like, let's use this, the Final Four? Would you typically have housed the teams in the future? Yeah,
so it's a top priority for us, and we're open to it, right? So it's if those other partners are open for it, it's definitely something that we're looking to collaborate on, because again, all the community together and all the different businesses around it, the stronger we are together and united, I think the better off we all are.
There comes a time when dreams become a reality, when you see your vision materialize into a true work of art. And the only way to get there is to choose a general contractor who shares that same vision and knows how to bring it to life. At Blue Wave, we aren't so big that we've forgotten where we've come from, and we aren't so small that we can't care for your projects regardless of their size. When your vision deserves safety, perfection, timeliness, and expertise in order to become a reality, trust Blue Wave to get it done right the first time.
Sounds good. Go back to the phasing. Okay, so for those of us that actually drive by this and see it, but for the layperson out there, you talked about something that is this large, this aggressive, and in totality, you can't do it all at once.
Right.
So break it down into how you guys are looking at the phasing and how that, what does it look like? Again, just throw it a time. What is it going to look like over the next year and a half for the people here?
Yeah, so since we're spread out over 60 acres, right, again, I'll use Vegas for an example, right, because they can open up and they can parcel things out different because they're a lot more vertical, right, in terms of, we're only 8 stories, right? So we'll open up in a few different phases. Phase 1 will be our hotel integrated amphitheater, with the supporting restaurants and bars. We'll open up the lagoon, right, as well as Mattel Adventure Park. And then phase 2 will really be a lot of our retail shops, our amusement rides, and the rest of the resort.
What has, we go back to the Mattel Park or the Adventure Park, for when the early publication and all the news came out about that, what have you guys changed or altered on that, or is that pretty much the same? And what will that entail?
There's been modifications, right, in terms of sort of their design and the demographic that they're going off, after, right? I think it flows a lot better now, where in the beginning it was really suited more towards, families and, sort of the Crystal Lagoons demo. But now that VAI Resort's being built and we do have 1,100 high-end hotel rooms, they had to modify a little bit about what they're doing, right? So a little more, older demographic. They're still attractive for the kids. But really more that high-end disposable income for guests to come in, right? So we control the entire perimeter, right? So security access coming in to Mattel Adventure Park, you got to go through VAI Resort in order to get into Mattel Adventure Park.
I got it.
So safety is a big piece for us, and security, and controlling that exterior, so that folks are not bringing in things that they shouldn't be bringing in.
So forgive me for asking the obvious question, Howard. How is this going to be? Let's use Disney as a comparison, right? Because I'm sure you get the question all the time. Okay, Howard, how is this different than if I go to Disney World or Disneyland or Universal Studios or something? I know that's an oversimplified question, but help the end user understand that experience, how it's going to be different.
Yeah, so I think if you think about downtown Disney in Orlando, right, VAI Resort is downtown Disney, right? It's ease of access to get in. And Mattel Adventure Park is sort of this theme park that sits on the property, right? So, when Mattel announces, if it's, pay to get in, or if it's pay per ride, right, you'll still have to go through VAI Resort first, just to go through our security check, and then you'll meander throughout the property, retail, shopping, food and beverage, right? And then make your way over to the Barbie Dream House, make your way over to Mattel Adventure Park, and then use your ticket to get in there.
Yeah. Is there anything, how do I say this without letting out any secrets? Has there been anything proprietary that you guys have come up with for the resort experience as far as, I'm thinking like the RFIDs and all that experience and the tracking? And I know there's a ton of technology that's already been out there, but can you talk about anything that you guys are going to go down that path with?
So yeah, I can only talk about the technology that we've announced so far, right? And again, technology is, if we don't have the right technology in place, we'll fail, right? The more we know about our customers, right, on the guest service side, the better we're equipped to service them. And then safety and security, right? We'll have Evolve units at every entrance to the property, right? So that there's no weapons or paraphernalia coming into the site. And I think Disney does a good job in protecting the guests that are coming in there so that, no weapons or guns or anything like that are coming on site. A lot of technology from a, guest tracking and data standpoint, right? We've done some great partnerships with, Salesforce, and different groups like that to make sure that, they all fall within our database and we can target them accordingly.
And is it getting to the point in your industry where it's almost instantaneous? So let's say I'm at the resort. Do I get a suggestive text based on my buying habits of, hey, come on over here? I'm just asking those questions because everyone thinks that they're, it's like the NSA watching you all the time. Some people are offended by it, but other people really gravitate towards it. They're like, hey, this is cool. They read my mind. Yeah, I'm down for spending another $5 to go grab a whatchamacallit over at the Slurpee stand or whatever.
Yep.
Is that a fair question, Howard?
It's a fair question. And so they'll have to opt in to be able to benefit.
That's the key.
Things, right?
Opt
in, right? And again, coming from the casino world, we had strict regulations around it. So we're implementing a lot of those. A lot of the folks that, are on our executive team have been with these large casino companies before. So we want to make sure the guest opts in. We don't want to be intrusive. But yes, we'll be geo-fencing the entire property and even a 10-mile radius around it.
So back to entertainment and sponsorships. Let's split those. Go down the sponsorship side. Don't know if you can announce anything now, but just curious, what does that mean to you, both short-term and long-term on the sponsorship side?
For us, we're building, $1 billion sort of startup, right? Nobody knows what virus.
Hey, what the hell,
right? And so, we haven't flagged any of our hotels. They're all our hotels. We're building the database from scratch, right? So the partnerships that we go after, we're being very strategic on, and finding these big global billion-dollar brands that are going to align with us, right? So if I take soda, for example, right? You got Pepsi and Coke. I can't share which one we're going with yet, but we'll be announcing soon. But
most likely it'll be one or the other, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Maybe we'll go with Fanta or something different. But the ability to leverage that partnership in the best way, and whoever is going to be the better partner to be able to get us to that end goal. Again, this is one of what we plan for a few different developments around the nation. I can't share the other markets. Obviously, all eyes are on Glendale right now. But we're looking for strong strategic partners to be able to bring the brand to life. So it's not about dollars. It's about brand identity and brand alignment for us.
It's a fair statement.
Yeah.
In that alignment, I guess where I'm trying to go with this question, I'm trying to tap into more, thinking of your background in Vegas. I'm an old fart, but still, part of going to Vegas, I love being around the pool and, there's entertainment and stuff like that. And I know that's a key part of what you guys are doing with the lagoon, at least as much as I can keep up on Phoenix Business Journal about what you guys are doing. With that entertainment vibe, is that all going to have a lot of co-branding and co-sponsorship as well? Or are you guys going to take that all in-house?
So, again, we're operating all of it in-house outside of Mattel Adventure Park and the retail. We operate all the businesses on site, right? So hotel, restaurants, entertainment, we're handling all of that in-house.
Okay.
So the ability to leverage those partnerships property-wide is a benefit that we have in our pocket to be able to ink the right deals.
Makes sense. How does that, going back, and again, forgive me if I'm asking a dumb question here, but back to the Cardinal Stadium and even what I call the old hockey stadium, which is almost turned into more of a concert venue and special events center than sports anymore. Has there been any conflict of interest, or is there enough bandwidth to go around because you guys are more niche and centric? Like, you're not hosting a Taylor Swift contest or concert, right? But yet you might have a key band or an entertainer around your lagoon. Or am I wrong?
No, I don't want to sit here and say you're wrong, but we will.
Well, please do.
We will, in fact, go after, an A-list artist like Taylor Swift, right?
Okay.
So we do plan to do 100 shows a year just at the amphitheater hotel. And before, we were, a 4,000 or 5,000 capacity venue, we really weren't competing.
I got it. Now it makes sense.
We're stepping into that territory right now, right? We want to be good partners. We don't want to be bidding, on the same talent against each other. So we have a great relationship with Desert Diamond. Do I think we're going to be competing with the Cardinals in terms of meaning State Farm Stadium on their entertainment program? Probably not. But the benefit that we have and what we're working towards right now with our recent partnership with Live Nation and C3 is the ability for mini hybrid residencies, right? So think of Vegas.
There you go.
You got Usher, you have Adele, you have Bruno Mars, right? But they may be doing 30, 40 dates a year. We may do 10 or 15. And part of it is they'll come, once a quarter and they'll play 3 or 4 nights back to back. So if you use Taylor Swift as the example, she's normally playing 60, 70,000 capacity venues. Will she come and play at VAI 3 or 4 nights back to back, get to the same end goal, but really have a different fan experience? The benefit about the VAI amphitheater is no guest is any further than 250 feet away from their favorite artist. So it's big, but the intimate factor is
and people will pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. Go back. Oh, one thing I want to ask you: if you go back in time, you guys self-stating, you've gone kind of high end. With that, you're here on kind of a quasi construction show. Yeah. When you go back to when you guys started, how were you able to, as an organization, to overcome the vendor supply chain problems that all of us were stymied with, and to a certain degree, there's still some challenges out there in the marketplace. How have you guys been able to kind of pierce that veil?
Yeah, so given that our parent company is a third generation, heavy civil construction company,
you guys have some connections.
Yeah, those relationships
and well capitalized.
Yeah, those relationships come in handy, right? So whether it's sending a truck far away to go pick up some supplies, right? We have the benefit that we can do that. So that's been really helpful, and that all the subcontractors report up to the GC, but the GC is really the parent construction company, right? So it's really the visionary that's driving both the design and construction, as well as sort of the operational intent for the property.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the audience knows you guys basically brought that in-house too.
Yep. When
you took things over. So yeah, there's power in the masses that Tommy had built. There's no question about it. Let's go back to F&B. What again, in your role, what is the F&B experience going to look like different from anything else?
So we have the food and beverage department, we have the entertainment department, right? And food and beverage will stand up, a dozen high-end restaurants.
A dozen.
So high-end steakhouse, well-suited Mexican, high-end Asian, right? There's different, concepts that are under works right now, as well as a few celebrity chefs that I can't share yet because they haven't been announced to the public, but they are first ever to this market. And some are the largest, right? So we're very excited about these partnerships. They've been inked for some time, and we'll be announcing them over the next couple of months.
I just remembered one of the things I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask, but you mentioned the water and some of the early things that went on. Again, a project this size, you're going to have naysayers and people throwing darts, but go back to the sustainability part. What can you talk about as far as the things that you guys had to overcome on sustainability? I'm not talking about just in the construction sustainability, water being one of them, but what about operationally, like long term, as far as any initiatives for whether it's here with your utility partners, the city of Glendale, maybe even some other regulatory agencies? I think it's a fair question. So I'm curious what you guys have looked at from an operational standpoint as well.
Yeah, so obviously we were an agriculture site prior, so we'll be using a lot less water, I can assure you that. So really, again, high-end technology to make sure that all of our back end is equipped properly. But the key right now, we have temperature-controlled water and the recirculation of all the water, so we're not wasting a ton of water, between our rooftop pools and the public beach water area. So that circulation is key. Now, the technology is not patented, but I will tell you that we were Crystal Lagoons before, so we understand how these things are being done and the technology that we have behind it to ensure that we're not just being wasteful is top of mind every single day. Same thing with plastic and how we're utilizing that, as well as recycling on property. They're top of mind into, where our trash can locations are going to be and the different colors and all those things. It's a focus for us as we build out the rest of the resort.
As an ex-Vegas guy, how many, maybe you don't have the numbers, maybe you do, maybe you can't share it. How much of the Phoenix populace will stay and go to VAI instead of going to Vegas now? I mean, okay, let's put the caveat, because now we have the gambling component.
Right.
That you technically, I get why you're the diamond, the Desert Diamond thing, right? I'd be remiss, though, if I didn't ask, right? That has to be on the forefront of the analytics and the pro forma and everything of, wow, if we can get everyone to come here, not drive 5 hours up to Vegas, we capture a large market share.
Yeah, and I think the demographic that we're going after will be able to do that, whether that's 60 or 70% of the folks that typically go to Vegas will be able to come here now and just, save a 4 or 5 hour trip to do that. The big thing is, and what we're seeing in Vegas is that, the casino versus entertainment and non-gaming thing is shifting, and it's shifting a lot.
What kind of math can you share of that? That isn't secret.
So, before it was really, 70, 80%, casino.
Was that?
That's how high it
was. How long ago, Howard?
I would probably say 2018, 2019.
So not too long ago.
And that's shifting, right? So, you can see what Vegas is doing with more experiential entertainment style of things and non-gaming assets, right? And so the customers still like to gamble, but for the customers that like to do both, right, we have the ability where, you can come and do everything that you're going to do in Vegas except gamble, but you can go right down the street to Desert Diamond. You can go 20 or 30 minutes away to Talking Stick, right? So there is gambling that happens throughout Phoenix, Scottsdale, but not on our resort. But the Vegas-style amenities that we're going to be able to offer will differentiate us from anywhere in Scottsdale or Phoenix, and I think even put us up against some of the best casinos in Vegas.
What about, we on this podcast, we've talked a lot about the emerging technologies and things like that. What about the virtual or augmented experience there as well? What are you having to invest in now to pivot to those changes that are inevitably coming, Howard? I mean, that's a hard CapEx to swallow, to go, how do we plan for the future that we don't even know exists, right?
Right.
There comes a time when dreams become a reality, when you see your vision materialize into a true work of art. And the only way to get there is to choose a general contractor who shares that same vision and knows how to bring it to life. At Blue Wave, we aren't so big that we've forgotten where we've come from, and we aren't so small that we can't care for your projects regardless of their size. When your vision deserves safety, perfection, timeliness, and expertise in order to become a reality, trust Blue Wave to get it done right the first time.
And so some of that is just putting the back-end infrastructure in place, maybe not turning it on day one, because we're, again, we've done a lot of research in terms of the market and the demographic that we plan to attract, and we plan to go over both locally and globally in terms of, different markets. So putting a lot of the infrastructure in place, but really maybe not pulling the trigger until after year one. We're going to learn so much the first year, but it's easier to put some of that infrastructure in now and then turn it on after.
Speaking of which, we didn't even should have asked one of the most obvious questions. Can you tell the audience what is the disclosed timelines for different things?
Yeah, so we're still scheduled for a preview phase at the end of this year.
Okay.
And phase one will open up in, end of Q1 of next year.
So, so Q1 of 2025.
Yep.
Okay. And is there any, and forgive me, like this year we've got, the Final Four. We had the Super Bowl before. Is there any timing to anything going on?
We're attempting to, but obviously we're on, construction timelines, design timelines, but that would be the intent for next year. But obviously we got the preview phase at the end of this year, which we're on schedule to hit, and then really phase one next year.
Okay. Well, let me kick it back to you. What you get interviewed all the time. What am I not asking you about, either the asset itself or operationally what you guys are doing differently that you want to get out to the public and let them know?
Yeah, and we've shared some of this, right? And some of it's out there and it's public, but the way in which we've designed and programmed the property, we've taken, we got, about 8 people right now on the executive team. We're about a team of 50 people in the corporate office, but really taking all the learnings from past experiences and building our own playbook since we're not flagged, right? So, how we've designed our tunnel system for how we move our people, how we move our trash, and how we move our artists throughout the resort. Is really built off Disney's playbook, right? You never really see, people lugging around trash on the main deck of Disney, and that's because they were strategic underground. We've done the same thing, and all of our buildings are connected through underground tunnels, and even across the street over to our corporate office.
Is it cool?
It's pretty cool, and it's great. It's great to see it on paper, and then, we were on site this morning, and to be able to walk through those tunnels and actually see these areas come to life is fascinating.
Oh, yeah, I know what it was. So let's go into, the operations side. It's one thing to get this built, and we can talk about the hundreds of people that are over there, as the construction and engineers and consultants and all that kind of stuff. But what about when do you guys start transitioning to grow beyond 50 people and really build the back of the house and the front of the house and all that? And, you said it's all going to be in-house. This is going to be your people, your human capital investment. How's that all going to start unfolding, and what are some of the strategic milestones?
Yeah, so we hired a great HR leader that came over from the Phoenician, right? So pick the biggest and best, HR leader to come over. But those job descriptions and titles are being crafted as we speak, right? And interviews are continuing to take place that, are publicly shared on, our website in terms of those jobs. But one of the things that Grant has invested in early on is the operational leadership team, right? Most development project may not bring their operational folks who are going to run it at the end this early. He's invested in this leadership team early, and definitely a lot earlier than other developments, right? So we're able to weigh in on stuff that operators like myself would come in and fix after. We're the ones partaking in collaboration with design and construction to ensure that we can actually move, and the example is move, said pallet from point A to point B, and making sure that we have enough, area to do that, right? Our staging area, our storage, our offices, really collaborating now on the front end versus doing it after the property opens.
Have you modeled out what the typical stay would look like?
We have.
Or can you share?
So we have, and obviously our challenge is we're doing the first ever integrated hotel, right? Amphitheater. So that tower is slightly different, mostly when a consumer can come in and buy a room. Because normally you'll have that 1-year window to be able to purchase a room at a hotel. You won't be able to do that because we may confirm a show, 90 or 120 days prior to stay. Yeah. So that tower will come on last to the public. But the rest, we believe that we're more like a cruise ship on land. And so 3 or 4 days is really the ideal stay, right? We think we'll do the staycations and even the weekend getaways for the folks in Scottsdale and the surrounding, Arizona markets to come and visit with us.
Go back to the original 60 acres or the 60 acres. Maybe I shouldn't say original. With Tommy or Grant or you and the entire team, is that going to be the limit, or are there, do you and Glendale have things that you can, let's say this thing blows up and it's super successful. Is there anything more to do in a secondary or tertiary plan?
So I can't speak to that right now. What I do know is that we have some other areas throughout beyond the 60 acres that we have some eyes on, that we've looked at. But really the focus is on the 60 acres. And I think that the best part about what we're doing is within the 60 acres, there are some spaces that are not going to open even as part of phase 2 that we're more shelling up. So that we have the flexibility, again, whether we want to add, a VR experience place in there. We want to add, an art exhibit. We'll be able to do that because of some of the flexible space that we're putting in now.
But I think you answered the question is, if you go there, is it going to be, again, raw dirt or more of a shell? You might have a little bit of both.
Yep.
Okay, so you are going to have maybe even a fourth plan of there still could be some raw dirt within there.
A few things in our pocket. Right?
Yeah, good. Go back to let's actually go back to the construction, the design, and things like that. What can you talk about as far as any uniqueness, peculiar things that maybe the layperson won't know?
I think The biggest thing that we're doing that is different, right, is, we have a president design that sits on our team. We have a bunch of designers in-house. We have a bunch of designers third party that kind of are all collaborating on these spaces, but they're looking through it in a different lens, right? They're taking, a mesh of different things that we've all experienced in, right? And Grant has said it before. He's been fortunate enough to travel the entire world, right, at such a young age. So taking inspiration from all these places, then he takes that vision, shares it with the designers, and they're going back to work to be able to present these really unique concepts that have never been done before. Sure, we may bring in, a licensing partner to come and flag something, or the celebrity partners that we're announcing shortly, but it's really the design intent and the vision behind the two owners.
Got it. Let's switch gears. What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? So I have two young kids, so chasing them around every day is fun for me. I do like to cycle frequently, and then a hike once in a while when we get out there.
Where's your wife from then?
Wife's originally from New Jersey, but came out to Vegas with me, and now she's obviously here. So it's she loves it out here, though.
What I was reading something about in hospitality management that you were brought up in. Do you still speak and go back to people within the industry? How do you mentor?
So I do, and again, I love, podcasts are great, leadership sessions are great, but my most sort of memorable times are when I go back to colleges, right? So whether they're local community colleges or get back to Penn State and speak to students who are in these hospitality programs and talk about how great of a business is, right? I got a lot of friends that work on Wall Street, some are doctors, right? But I'm in the memory making business, and it's very different, right? My days are very different than theirs.
Yeah.
But we get to do things that really help change people's lives, right? They'll talk about this trip for decades, right? To their families, and hopefully their families will then come out here. So, it's for me, it's going back to college and speaking there. That's what really gets me out of bed in the morning.
Oh, okay. So when we do these kind of things, it sparks my interest to ask other questions. So when we go back to the massive hiring that's going to take place, is it going to, you mentioned the cruise ship on land.
Yep.
Is it going to look like that, a very international contingency of workforce, or are you guys focusing more on local? I know there's no right or wrong answer, Howard, but I am curious though, just from the human capital standpoint of supply and demand, how you guys are going to approach that.
Yeah, so obviously the hiring market in all industries right now is tough. Hospitality has taken a toll. But last month our executive chef, our director of food and beverage, and our head of HR was out at the CIA, right? Recruiting and talking about VAI. So we'll be global in terms of our reach. And if you're here local, it's great, but you may be an international student, internship programs, or studying abroad. But we want you if you have a passion for hospitality, right? I tell everybody this all the time. We can train you to do anything, but we can't train you to want to be here and be in the hospitality industry, right? So you want to go be a server, as long as you got the personality to be interacting with guests on a day-to-day basis, we'll teach you how to do that.
The next thing that your comment sparked is, what a place like this, think of events. What will it be and what won't it be? So let's say, I'll throw one out there and then I'll let you run with it. I want to get married at the VAI. Okay, take it away.
Yep. So you can definitely get married at the VAI, right? Okay. And it will be an experience like nothing else, right? Again, my wife and I got married in Mexico. We wanted a destination wedding. This is what this will feel like, right? It won't feel like your traditional, Scottsdale, Phoenix wedding, right? It's going to feel very different. And one of the things that we've been focused on is our sun studies, as well as all of our sight lines throughout the resort, right? When you're at a resort, again, Phoenix, Scottsdale, some beautiful resorts, and you're looking at mountains, and it's great. We have those same views, but really the way the entire resort is set up, you're looking out to the mountains, but you're also looking out to blue water, great beaches, and you feel like you're somewhere else. So we're really bringing the water and the beaches to this market.
Are there any quintessential event things that won't be encapsulated within the VAI? And I can't think of anything, but you're in this space, so I'm asking you the tough question. And I don't know what it would be like. Maybe I'll go to the other end of the spectrum just to prove a point. The Little League team's not going to come and buy a pass, right?
Right.
Okay.
But we're literally in brainstorming and war room conversations every.
There you go. You're honest.
Every day, talking through the what ifs. Would we do this? Would we do that? Right. So we're throwing a lot of things at the wall. We're collaborating with a bunch of different partners. Right. So in my world, whether it's festival producers or partners, we're going out to look at a festival next month in Mexico. Again, big international hotel festival takeover.
There you go.
Or traditional. They don't exist out here. They're starting to pop up in Vegas now. It's tough for Vegas to do it because of the casino floor, but they're doing them.
Explain that for the layperson.
So with the casino floor sits in the center. So if an EDM festival takes over, call it, I don't want to talk about a specific property in Vegas, but you can Google it and find out they take over said resort. And then now you have all these EDM folks that are intruding on this casino client, right? So it doesn't mesh well, right? Where we have the ability to segment out and parcel out different properties of the resort to be able to do these takeovers, i.e. our integrated hotel amphitheater, where we can segment out stuff, where we can have multiple different demographics on site, but really be able to cater to that one if we're doing a specific festival.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can imagine that that's probably some of the most challenging and yet inspiring conversations you have, because that's where the meeting of the minds really takes place. Because, again, back to how we talked about is, how do you plan for the unknown and put an asset class that can flex like that, right?
Right. And again...
And still monetize it.
Totally. And what I've learned over the last, 12 years is that, what we plan for and what actually happens, we need to have a cushion, right? It's going to adjust 30, 40%, right? Well, we think we're building this for, once we get open, it may change, right? So, we've preached flexibility and ownership has hurt us and they've adapted to it. And all of our venues are built for, as much flexibility as we can possibly get in there to support the ability to change.
I know this question gets more in the weeds, but I was just thinking about it because we were just up in Vegas and it was colder. And you've experienced this, is we have the shoulder months. Yep. It's easy to plan September, October, March and April, and even into May. All right, Howard. How is the VAI going to manage the super hot summers and the cold winters for the water experience, the outdoor experience? You can't have, are you really going to have 4 million heaters and 4 million misters? People want to know that. Like, how are you guys managing that? The extreme heat, and I know people laugh from other parts of the country, but the cold here, because everyone comes to Phoenix, they want the year-round experience.
Yeah, and coming from Vegas, it is, definitely 10 degrees hotter here in the summer, right? Yeah. So being able to support that is key for us, and it's been top of mind, right? I will say the benefit that we have that Vegas doesn't is we can keep our pools open year round. They typically shut down end of October, and they're opening back up now, where we can stay year round. All of our water will be
because you recirc, right?
Recirc, temperature controlled. We can also heat the water, call it this lagoon that we have not officially named yet, but we can take it and make it hot, right? It can be 90, 100 degrees to make it more of a hot tub type of feel. So we will have misters, we will have heaters to be able to support that. Probably not the number that you just mentioned, but again, we've spent a lot of money on sun studies and a lot of money on ensuring that the buildings that we're putting up are providing shade.
It was funny you say that, because I was going to go, I would almost, again, it'd be me being a hypocrite, right? A guy that's been in the business, whether it's the architects, engineers, and even the contractors. If you can't figure that out and use the building to your advantage, then shame on you, right?
Totally. And we've spent a lot of money on sightline studies and a lot of money on sun studies and even on our temperature control sand, right? It's 120 degrees out. That temperature of the sand is not going to feel like 120 degrees because it's temperature controlled.
Can you tell how?
I can't share the details yet. We haven't formally announced that yet, but it's a proprietary blend that we're bringing in that is able to not get above call it a temperature of, 87 degrees.
Fair enough. Okay, I just thought of another one, logistics. Thinking of, not everyone's going to drive to the VAI. Think of all the people that are flying in, traveling in. How are you guys approaching, other than Uber and Lyft and the conventional things, you're talking about a massive amount of people coming to your place. What are you guys going to do that's that concierge experience, if you will, for logistics?
Yeah, so obviously close coordination right now with the city and ADOT in terms of traffic and the exit and on-ramps that we're doing with the city to add right next to VAI, as well as big event and days like that. We have underground parking for valet for all 4 hotel towers. Obviously, we're building this massive parking garage.
Seen that,
next to the stadium. Everyone's seen that piece. And the level of VIP concierge that we'll have at all 4 towers to take care of that higher end guest that's coming in. They want to drop their keys off and go right up to their hotel. We'll have the ability to do that.
Well, Howard, I'm about out of formal questions. I kind of open the floor to you. What didn't I ask you? Like, what do you want to get out about the message of VAI, your organization, anything?
You did ask a lot of key questions. So we're doing something different. We're not a flagged hotel, and we're building the playbook from scratch, and everything that we're doing, the guest and the artist experience is top of mind, right? And again, I'll just talk a little bit about our artist experience because I think, I was fortunate enough to tour some people around this weekend. We had Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani in town performing at Desert Diamond. So a few of their key folks came by. And, most of the time when artists go visit, stadiums or arenas, they're walking through, trash areas, loading docks. And again, you would never take a guest in your house through your garage. And so we've thought about that through our entire design. So how our artists arrive on property is as curated as the guest arrives on property.
It's pretty profound. You don't think about that, do you?
It is.
Can I interrupt you and ask you, when you go back to your Vegas days, was that something they talked about back when you were in the biz doing that?
Nope. We were bringing people through trash cans and unmanicured areas, and it was not a pleasant experience. And then for the artists that really wouldn't go through those areas when their team did the pre-walk, we had to take them front of house, and that wasn't great either because they were getting attacked, right? So it's been top of mind from the start.
That happy middle, right?
Yep. And again, we have our private Rockstar suites and support suites up on our 8th floor. They take a private elevator downstairs. They hit the main stage in less than 60 seconds, and they never see the guest.
I think that'd be pretty attractive.
Yeah.
Can you, again, not mentioning them in particular, has that feedback been positive so far?
It's been... The artists are looking for something different, so they're blown away that we've put so much thought into it. Because again, we consider ourselves very different from an arena or stadium because our primary focus is music, right? So, but there's not real big venues that their primary focus is music, right? They're more focused on sports, these bigger venues, right, and other things that are happening there. The ones that are focused on music are smaller, right? 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 caps, so they're not getting the Taylor Swifts to come in. So those artists don't get to go experience that. They're just used to it at this point. But when they come to VAI, artists are looking for something different, and we think we can actually exceed their expectations when they come. And everyone that we've toured on the management side has agreed, and the renderings, show for themselves.
Did you actually have special consultants on these kind of weird things like that?
We have acoustical consultants from a sound standpoint to ensure that all the areas that they're going to be in are acoustically treated properly. And then we have a full design team, again, both internally, and we're using a company, DH Companies out of Virginia, as well as Gensler Group, Baker Barrios, right? Some of the
big boys, yeah.
Yeah.
Or big players, I should say boys and girls.
Yeah.
What else you got, brother?
Listen, it's we're excited to come to market. It's been a time waiting that people are looking for it to happen, but we're bringing something different, and I think we're gonna provide an experience that guests have never seen before.
What other than the website? People always want to know, not specific to like you, Howard, but for people that are interested in any of the opportunities, what's your back of house offering for? You know what I'm saying, like website access, social media access, of keeping everyone updated on the progress. I think people want to know.
Yes.
Other than what I've already referenced.
Yeah, so website's great. Obviously, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, we're heavily active on there now. And as we get closer to opening, we'll be more active. And then billboards and our digital screens outside of our property that will really start to take shape here in the next couple of months.
Well, thanks again for coming on. I wish you guys nothing but the best. I know you're under microscopes and a lot of scrutiny, but so far, I mean, yeah, you've had, like anything with this big and bold, you're going to have, some eyes on you, but so far it seems like everyone's been embracing it, and you're failing forward where you need to, and just kudos to you guys and good luck. Go crush it.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. The one thing I will leave you with, and again, we'll stand by this, once we get open and even beyond that, but most venues, when the concert's over, the party ends. For us, it just begins, right? So, that encore that happens at the end of the show, that's really the start of the party for us, because we're not traditional venues are kicking people out, we're inviting them to stay.
Is there a time limit, or is there any stipulations with the city of Glendale on entertainment?
So 2 a.m., right? So
Okay, so
we'll shut down. We have a nightclub on site, right? So that concert may end at.
But as far as the outside, 2 a.m. type
2 a.m.
thing. And it's all, from planning and zoning, that's all been factored in. So it's no big change or deal from any other bar or entertainment venue.
Nope, and all the sound studies that we've done to ensure that we're not, impacting any of the local businesses or community around are all in place.
Well, thanks again, Howard. Good luck.
You've been listening to the Mac and Blue Show, brought to you by Blue Wave General Contracting. Be sure to subscribe to the Mac and Blue podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Follow JJ Levenske on LinkedIn and Instagram. Tune in every Monday